Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again to explore complex topics, drawing from key sources to give you a clearer picture. This deep dive is brought to you by the creators of pbuh app. It's an AI narrated series, and it's based on the renowned historical book, A Probe into the History of Ashura. This was authored by Dr. Ibrahim Ayati, a really esteemed Iranian Shia historian, researcher, and preacher. He lived from 1916 to 1964. His work is, well, foundational for today's discussion. Our mission today, and it's a heavy one, is to focus intently on the ultimate sacrifice. We're talking about the martyrdom of Imam Husayn's immediate family, the revered Bani Hashim. We'll delve into their unparalleled courage, their unwavering devotion, and the often heart-wrenching details of how they fought and how they met their martyrdom. This all culminates, of course, in the supreme sacrifice of Imam Husayn himself. It's a time that demands deep reflection, a deep remembrance. So, okay, let's unpack this pivotal, incredibly poignant chapter of Islamic history together.
Absolutely. And what Dr. Ayadi establishes so powerfully, right from the preface of his book, is that Karbala isn't just another historical event. No, it's truly an unparalleled event in all of human history. He argues very compellingly that the sacrifice made by Imam Husayn, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him on Ashura, that's the 10th of Muharram, 61 AH, and the sheer steadfastness he showed, well, it stands as this profound, eternal beacon, a light for everyone who genuinely seeks truth. It's this unique intersection, of divine will, incredible human resolve, and unfortunately monstrous tyranny. Dr. Ayadi is very clear about the stakes. He doesn't hold back. He suggests that if Imam Husayn ibn Ali hadn't taken this stand, this divinely guided step, then all the authentic traces of Islam, the very essence of it, might well have been wiped out. The Quran, the true spirit of Islam as brought by the Prophet, it might not have survived in its pure form. Just imagine that. The corruption at the time, the systematic deviations from Islamic teachings, the outright blasphemies, particularly under Yazid's rule.
It meant Islam was becoming, well, almost like a political plaything, just a tool for the unjust rulers. And that brings us to a really critical question, which Dr. Ayadi tackles head-on. Why was this sacrifice so utterly necessary? He explains how the Umayyad regime, first under Muawiyah and then crucially under his successor Yazid, whose sources describe as morally bankrupt, they systematically worked to distort Islam. It was calculated, a campaign to erase the true essence of Islam, even to diminish the reverence for the Holy Prophet Muhammad himself. Yazid, as portrayed by Ayadi based on historical accounts, wasn't just flawed. He's described as having essentially no religion, openly drinking wine, playing music against Islamic norms, indulging in revelry. He really symbolized this deep moral decay threatening Islam's foundations. So you see, this wasn't just politics. It wasn't just a fight for leadership. It was a fundamental battle for the soul of Islam. And in that kind of crisis, silence wasn't an option. It was seen as a betrayal. The Imam, with his profound insight, knew the path led to martyrdom. He knew his family would be taken captive.
But his ultimate goal, as Ayadi explains, was to ensure Islam itself, its divine commands, would survive, and in the process, to expose the true nature of the Umayyads, to show everyone that their rule was not Islamic, that they'd stooped so low. I mean, the preface mentions they'd even target an infant with arrows. That just shows their depravity.
The foresight, the depth of that mission, it's truly staggering. And that leads us to a moment in the story that's just incredibly moving. It sets such a high bar for devotion. So after Imam Husayn's loyal companions had fallen, one by one, giving everything for the cause, we then see this astonishing resolve from the Imam's own family, the Bani Hashim. They step forward, and it's not with reluctance, not at all. It's with an eagerness for martyrdom that's honestly breathtaking. It's this collective spirit of sacrifice, isn't it? Born from being raised in that pure environment of the Alul Bayt, the Prophet's household. Dr. Ayadi quotes their affirmation from chapter 13. They said, "Praised be Allah, who has honored us with martyrdom in your company. Even if this world had been eternal and we had to live in it forever, we would certainly have preferred to be killed along with you to living in this world." Wow. I mean, that's not seeing death as an end, but as an honor, a preference even. It really makes you think about the faith they possessed.
Their conviction was absolutely extraordinary, beyond our usual understanding. And leading this noble group from the Bani Hashim was the Imam's eldest son, Ali Akbar. Dr. Ayadi and other sources, too, really emphasize his striking resemblance to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And this isn't just a footnote. It adds such poignancy. Think about it. The image of the Prophet himself, stepping out to face an army, claiming to follow Islam. He was young, yes, but his courage was immense. It reflected the deep spiritual bravery passed down directly from the Prophet. Now, the moment he asked his father for permission to fight, it must have been agonizing. Imam Husayn saw him, this image of his grandfather's heart surely breaking. The The Nahiya, which Ayadi references in chapter 14, lists Ali ibn Husayn among 17 young men from Bani Hashim, described as dear, brave, and pious, so exceptional character. Then Ali Akbar rode out, a single figure against so many, like a lion, truly. He charged their ranks, cavalry, infantry, with incredible skill. You can see the lineage of his grandfather, Ali ibn Abi Talib, is his fighting. Reports say he cut through them again and again, taking down many of their best warriors. His use didn't matter. His power was clear. He pushed them back so hard it seemed like he alone might change the battle. He wasn't just fighting, he was embodying the spirit of the Ahlul Bayt. But his martyrdom, it was swift, tragic, and just utterly heartbreaking. After these repeated charges, he was exhausted, terribly thirsty. Remember, the water was cut off. He briefly returned to his father, pleading for even a drop of water, saying the thirst was almost unbearable. The Imam, unable to provide water, reportedly gave him his ring to put in his mouth, hoping it might offer some small relief. He encouraged him, saying he would soon meet his grandfather, the Prophet, who would quench his thirst eternally. So, reinvigorated by this promise, Ali Akbar charged back into the fight. But the enemy, seeing his prowess, seeing the damage he was inflicting, they conspired against him. A man named Murrah bin Munqid struck him from behind with a spear. He fell from his horse, and even then, as he lay wounded, they swarmed him. Swords rained down, cutting his body mercilessly.
In his final moments, he cried out, Ya Abata alayka salam, O Father, peace be upon you. Imam Husayn heard that call. He rushed through the enemy lines, his heart completely shattered. He reached his son, only to find his body brutally dismembered. He embraced him, tears flowing, lamenting, O my son, after you the world is dark for me. And the Imam proclaimed, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Indeed, we belong to Allah, and to Him we shall return. A profound submission amidst grief we can barely imagine, losing not just a son, but a reflection of the Prophet. The sorrow was immense, lasting.
It's more than just history, isn't it? It feels like such a visceral lesson. Faith that holds strong even when facing the most sacred personal loss imaginable. The strength needed to witness that and still stay true to the mission. It's just an unparalleled example of sacrifice.
It truly is. And following Ali Akbar, we see another incredible example of youthful courage. This time, it's Qasim ibn Hasan. He was the young son of Imam Hasan, Imam Husayn's older brother, so Husayn's nephew. Dr. Ayati describes how this boy, barely more than a child really, approached his uncle, Imam Husayn. But he wasn't timid. He was filled with this amazing resolve, completely different from what you'd expect of someone so young. He also wanted permission to fight, eager to join the martyrs. Imam Husayn understandably hesitated. Seeing how young Qasim was, he tested him. He asked him, how do you see death? And Qasim, well, his answer has echoed through history. It shows a spiritual depth far beyond his years. He replied famously, for me, death is sweeter than honey. That's quoted in chapter 22, page 86 of Ayati's work. Think about that. Sweeter than honey. That's not childish bravado. It's profound spiritual understanding, absolute devotion. He understood the sacrifice wasn't an end. It was about preserving truth, achieving closeness to Allah. It really speaks volumes about the Ahlul Bayt's upbringing, where even children grasp these deep realities. So, with a heavy heart, Imam Husayn gave him permission. And Qasim, like a young lion, went onto the battlefield. He wasn't really equipped for war, too young for proper armor, maybe his sword was even too big for him. But he fought with astonishing bravery against this huge enemy force, like a seasoned warrior. He proved courage isn't about age, it's about conviction, about spirit. He reportedly struck down several enemy fighters, causing confusion in their ranks. His small size actually made him a difficult target initially, but eventually the sheer numbers, they overwhelmed him. The way he was martyred is particularly painful. Dr. Ayati details it vividly. While Qasim was fighting, a man named Amr bin Sad al-Azdi struck him on the head. He fell. As he lay there, wounded, he cried out, "Oh, uncle! Oh, Hussein!" And then in the chaos, the enemy cavalry, mercilessly, they rode over his fallen body. His small frame was crushed under the horse's hooves. It's horrific. The preface reflects this horror, mentioning, our bodies were torn to pieces and crushed under the hooves of the horses of the tyrants because we supported Islam.
Imam Husayn rushed to him, fighting through the enemy, but arrived just as Qasim took his last breath. The Imam held his nephew's body, lamenting the injustice, crying out, "By Allah, it is hard on your uncle that you call him and he cannot help you." The sorrow for this young life, given so bravely, it's an enduring part of Karbala's tragedy. A terrible reminder that the enemy spared no one, not even a child.
Sweeter than honey? It's just hard to process that level of conviction in someone so young. It truly highlights the unique spiritual environment of the Ahlul Bayt, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That sacred household nurtured such incredible, unwavering faith, even in its youngest members.
Absolutely. And the sacrifices from the family didn't stop there. It continued with the descendants of Imam Ali's other noble brothers, specifically the sons of Aqil and Jafar. These were the Imam's nephews, his grandnephews. Direct family ties to the Prophet and Imam Ali. Their lineage was steeped in loyalty and courage. You had An and Muhammad, the sons of Abdullah bin Jafar. Now, Abdullah was Imam Ali's nephew, and his son-in-law married to Lady Zainab, Imam Husayn's sister. Ayadi mentions this in chapter 13. And then there were others, tragically listed among those 17 martyrs of Bani Hashim in the Ziyari Nahiya. Jafar bin Aqil, Abdurrahman bin Aqil, Abdullah and Muhammad, who were sons of Muslim bin Aqil and Muhammad bin Abi Sa'id bin Aqil. Dr. Ayadi notes something significant in chapter 13. Abdullah bin Jafar himself, realizing the gravity of the situation and having lost hope for the Imam's safe return, actually sent his two sons, An and Muhammad, to join Imam Husayn. That act alone shows the depth of commitment from the whole family, willing to sacrifice their dearest for this cause. And these young men, one after another, fought valiantly.
They showed the bravery that was in their blood, inherited from their ancestors. Each one stepped forward, knowing full well what had happened to those before them. But their resolve didn't waver. If anything, it grew stronger. Their fight was a continuation of the family's unwavering dedication to Islam, a legacy of loyalty going right back to the Prophet. They fought fiercely, like lions, even though they were hopelessly outnumbered, defending the Imam, defending his mission with everything they had. Accounts tell of them charging deep into enemy lines, striking fear before being inevitably overwhelmed by the sheer number of Yazid's soldiers. Their martyrdoms, one by one, were further profound losses for the Prophet's household. Each life given was a testament to their love for truth, their obedience to Allah, their devotion to their Imam. The grief for these brave souls just adds another layer to the immense sorrow of Karbala. It reminds us of the huge personal cost of standing for truth.
And as this tragedy unfolds, we reach another pivotal figure, a name synonymous with loyalty and bravery in the story of Karbala, Abbas. His courage really does shine like a guiding star. He wasn't just Imam Husayn's brother, he was the standard bearer, the Alamdar, the absolute embodiment of loyalty. He stood as this unshakable pillar of strength against impossible odds. Dr. Ayadi, and really all accounts of Karbala, emphasize his incredible physical strength, his profound courage, and above all, his unwavering commitment and deep bond with Imam Husayn. He was the protector of the camp, the family.
Yes, Abbas bin Ali's role as the standard-bearer was crucial. It was a position of immense trust, symbolizing the army's heart, its direction. His courage was legendary. But the part of his story that resonates most deeply, the part that brings tears, is his attempt to get water. Water for the children, the women, in the Imam's camp, who were suffering terribly from thirst. Remember, the enemy had blocked access to the Euphrates River for 3 days. 3 days. Subjecting the Ahlul Bayt to unimaginable suffering. Seeing this suffering, particularly of the children, like his niece Sakina, Abbas couldn't bear it. He asked the Imam for permission to try and bring water. The Imam agreed. Abbas took the water skin, got on his horse, and rode bravely towards the Euphrates. Immediately he faced a huge force guarding the river, but with astonishing bravery and strength he charged them. He broke through their lines, scattered them, and reached the water. He filled the water skin, but then in an act of incredible selflessness, he didn't drink himself. He couldn't. He remembered the thirst of his Imam, of the children. That tells you everything about his character. Turning back, holding the precious water skin high, he was ambushed. Attacked from all sides, his right arm was severed by Zayd bin Warqa. He grabbed the standard and the water skin with his left hand, still fighting, still riding. Then Hakim bin Tufail struck off his left arm. Even then, with both arms gone, he clutched the water skin with his teeth, determined to get it back to the camp. But then an arrow pierced the water skin. The water spilled out. The last hope for the children, gone. Finally, he was struck on the head with an iron mace. He fell from his horse, mortally wounded. Dr. Ayadi points out he fell near the bank of the Euphrates, so close to the water he couldn't deliver. This earned him the title Sake Haram, the water carrier of the camp, who tragically couldn't complete his mission. Imam Husayn's grief when Abbas fell, it was immense. Perhaps one of the most devastating moments for him. As Abbas fell, he cried out, Ya Akha, Adrak Akhak. Oh, brother, come to your brother. Imam Husayn, utterly heartbroken, rushed to his side. He found Abbas taking his last breaths.
The Imam is said to have collapsed beside him, his voice thick with sorrow, lamenting, Now my backbone is broken. My options are limited. Losing Abbas, his brother, his strongest support, his protector, the standard bearer, it was a profound turning point. The battle felt truly lost then. The Imam's cry, Ya Abba Abdullah, Ya Husayn, O father of Abdullah, O Husayn. It just echoes that immense loss. Abbas's sacrifice wasn't just about water, it was this incredible symbol of loyalty, selflessness for truth, a devotion that still inspires such deep reverence and sorrow today, love beyond life itself.
Just trying to picture that scene. Abbas falls, the standard falls. The feeling must have been crushing. The focus now narrows dramatically. Imam Husayn is left almost entirely alone, carrying this immense weight, the entire divine mission, on his shoulders. His patience, his endurance after losing everyone, companions, brothers, sons, nephews. It's almost superhuman, a spirit that just refuses to break, even when everything around him is shattered.
In those final terrible moments, Imam Husayn stood virtually alone against that huge, merciless army. And then came a scene of cruelty that's almost impossible to comprehend. It really highlights the enemy's barbarity. The Imam, perhaps in a last desperate appeal to any shred of humanity they might have left, knowing the children were dying of thirst. He brought forward his infant son, Ali Asghar, just 6 months old. The baby was clearly suffering terribly from thirst, his little tongue lolling, lips cracked. Imam Husayn held him up, hoping for compassion, a drop of water. It was a plea to their shared humanity. But the response, it wasn't compassion. It was pure, calculated barbarism. Instead of water, an arrow flew, fired by Harmala bin Kahil. It struck the infant's tiny throat while he was still in his father's arms. The arrow pinned the baby to his father's chest. Ali Asghar convulsed, then lay still. The sheer brutality, killing a helpless infant asking for water. It showed their complete lack of morals, human values, anything. As Dr. Ayadi noted in the preface, it proved they would make even a suckling the target of their arrows. No ambiguity left. This act cemented their mercilessness.
And the grief for Imam Husayn, unimaginable, an eternal wound. He caught his son's blood in his hands, threw it towards the heavens, asking Allah to witness this cruelty. Then he buried his tiny son himself in the sands of Karbala.
It's difficult to even speak about that level of cruelty. Targeting an infant, a plea for water answered with death. Yet even after that, even in that darkest moment, having endured everything, the Imam's resolve didn't break. His spiritual strength seems almost untouched, a light that wouldn't go out.
For his final stand, Imam Husayn was truly alone. Wounded countless times, hungry, thirsty beyond imagining. As Imam Sajjad, his surviving son, later said, and Ayati notes this in chapter 13, the son of the Prophet's daughter was killed when he was thirsty and hungry. Despite all this physical agony, this emotional devastation, he faced that army with unparalleled courage. He wasn't just a warrior, he was an orator, a guide. Even then, wounded and alone, he spoke with perfect peace of mind and courage. His words, chapter 13 says, became all the more eloquent. He was still calling them to reflect, to remember their faith, to fear Allah. He fought back defiantly. Anyone who dared approach him faced his incredible strength, striking fear into them. Dr. Ayati describes how, despite everything, the Imam resisted, refused to submit to tyranny. Eventually, the sheer numbers overwhelmed him. They didn't dare face him one-on-one anymore. They attacked in waves, each wanting the reward but fearing to strike the final blow. He was struck again and again, swords, spears, his sacred body covered in wounds. Accounts say he staggered, almost falling, but kept standing, reciting the Quran, praying.
His final moments were marked by this immense fortitude. He finally fell from his horse, critically wounded. And even then, he chose his final act, a moment of pure devotion. He made his final prostration, his forehead on the earth, in submission to Allah. That's how he achieved martyrdom, in prayer. A testament to his unbreakable link with the divine. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah Hussein. Peace be upon you, O father of Abdullah Hussein. But the horror didn't end there. Dr. Ayadi includes the chilling detail from chapter 14, Ibn Ziyad's specific order to Umar bin Saad. The order was to make the horses trample upon his chest and back because he is a cruel, quarrelsome, and ungrateful man. Their words, not mine. This wasn't random brutality. It was a pre-planned act of desecration, a pledge Ibn Ziyad had made, and chapter 24 confirms it was carried out. 10 volunteers trampled the Imam's sacred body after his martyrdom. It shows their intent to dishonor him completely, even in death. The martyrdom of Imam Husayn. It was the absolute peak of the Karbala tragedy, the ultimate sacrifice to save the soul of Islam. A moment demanding profound grief and eternal reverence.
So, after hearing all this, what's the core message? What are we meant to take away from these incredible sacrifices? As Dr. Ayadi points out in chapter 21, Imam Husayn didn't rise up for power, for worldly gain. Not at all. His purpose was to expose the lies, the falsehood, to dismantle the corruption, to revive the truth of Islam that was being buried. And that saying of the Holy Prophet, Husayn is from me and I am from Husayn, which Ayadi mentions in chapter 13. It takes on such a profound meaning here, doesn't it? It implies Husayn is essential for the survival of the Prophet's religion. And his martyrdom wasn't, as some might mistakenly think, just about washing away sins for others. No. Chapter 21 clarifies it was about inspiring a real fear of Allah, encouraging genuine piety, and fighting against sin itself in society and ourselves. This deep dive, we hope, has given you a pathway to understanding one of history's most crucial events. It's not just facts and dates. It's meant to be a living beacon for truth, for justice, for resisting oppression, always. The steadfastness of these noble souls, their refusal to compromise on divine principles, even facing death, it really challenges us, doesn't it? It inspires us to look at our own commitment to truth.
Exactly. If we summarize the key takeaways from Dr. Ayadi's work, Karbala was a conscious, deliberate act of self-sacrifice by Imam Husayn and his followers. The goal: to wake up the Muslim community, to draw a clear line between real Islam and the distorted version the Umayyads were pushing, to expose their true aim, to destroy Islam from within. And what's remarkable, perhaps divinely ordained, is how well the events were recorded, especially through the speeches of the surviving Ahlul Bayt, like Lady Zainab and Imam Sajjad, when they were captives. Their words ensured history couldn't easily be twisted. The truth of the atrocities, the righteousness of the Imam's cause, it was preserved. As Chapter 26 states, the tragedy of Karbala has remained more safe and immune from distortion as compared with most of the other historical events. It's remained this luminous, sublime, and unique chapter of history. Its impact is still felt today. It's an eternal call to stand for justice, for piety, for truth. It's a living legacy.
So as you reflect on this ultimate sacrifice of the House of Hashim, maybe consider this. What are the fundamental truths in your own life? The principles you hold sacred? What are you willing to stand for, truly stand for, even when facing overwhelming opposition, to make sure those truths aren't silenced or erased? Join us next time for Deep Dive 10. We'll be exploring the aftermath in Karbala and Kufa. We'll look at the incredible resilience of the survivors, especially Lady Zainab and Imam Sajjad, how they carried the powerful message of Karbala forward, ensuring its impact would last forever. Huda Hafiz. May Allah enhance His blessings of guidance upon us and grant us abundant success in acquiring knowledge. Ameen.